At this point in the offseason, it is clear that we may not see the magnitude of change that we expected from this Phillies team. So with the internal options being clear, is it time for a shakeup within this Phillies lineup? Kyle Schwarber has been a controversial piece of the conversation for a couple of years now, leading off despite the thoughts of many. So we're going to break down if it is time for a shakeup at the leadoff spot. And Luke, I'll throw it to you right off the bat here. I know we kind of prefaced this kind of leading up, and I threw a couple names at you. None of the top three names that I expected you named for your leadoff. So if it were up to you, you're filling out that lineup card on opening day right now. Who is your leadoff hitter for this Phillies team?
So my experiment with the leadoff is
Okay.
gonna be Bryson Stott as of right
Interesting.
now.
Okay.
Um,
Sell me on it.
I think the way that he approaches the plate, I think fits the leadoff spot very well. I wouldn't necessarily say he's the best possible on base guy to be in the leadoff spot. Um, if it was not going to be Schwarber, if they were going to change things up, because I've been very pro Schwarber. I think you
Yeah.
put him where he succeeds the most, and obviously the last 3 years it's been in the leadoff spot. He has 131 home runs as a Philly, and that's not including the playoffs. If it was between a guy that's not Schwarber, I would probably say the two most likely options would be Trea and Stott.
Yeah.
The Trea reason, I see a lot there. I definitely think that would be one that would make sense. It's kind of funny if you look at his sort of splits based off of like where he hits in the lineup and sort of the outcome of who's on base and stuff. He actually hits the best with nobody on base. That's kind of where his splits have been. I think his sort of singles doubles kind of mentality as it's been so far as a Philly would fit really well in the leadoff spot. But right now for me, if it wasn't Schwarber, I think it would. I would probably lean Stott. And if it didn't work, I think that next option would be Trey.
Yeah, interesting. Trea Turner is obviously a name at the forefront of the conversation. He has experience playing leadoff in the major leagues during his time with the Dodgers there. We also got this poll from Phillies Nation here, which is who should be the leadoff hitter for the Phillies. Trea Turner leading the way pretty notably there. Now, Kyle Schwarber and Bryson Stott both in that same mix there. I did kind of want to ask, like, conceptually, it feels like the mindset has changed. That in general, I would guess through growing up and kind of, baseball's pastime here, that the leadoff hitter was always the fast, speedy guy that's going to hit singles, steal bases. It kind of has like transformed into now you just want to get your best hitter to the plate as many times as possible. Shohei Ohtani, a clear-cut example of that with the Dodgers once again out there. Kyle Schwarber more or less in that spot with this Phillies team. And as Rob Thomson often likes to kind of have that statement here is there's nothing better than starting a game with a 1-0 lead. And he is right about that to an extent there. But what's your standpoint on that, Luke? How do you feel about what is your ideal leadoff hitter in this modern day of baseball?
Yeah, it's hard because I think it depends a lot on how your lineup is constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you have a left-handed heavy sort of lineup, I don't think you want to throw a bunch of those lefties in the top. But I think one, I think the obvious answer is you want to set your team up for the most success. And the last 2 to 3 seasons, your biggest success has been when Schwarber's been in the leadoff spot. But because of how things have sort of ended the last few years, I think it's very valid to question what they would do next year. If they are looking to change things up with the lineup. If you want to sort of save some of those Schwarber home runs when there's runners on base.
Sure.
But on the flip side of that, there's no better team in baseball other than the Dodgers when they have Shohei leading off with a better leadoff hitter than Kyle Schwarber.
Right.
It is a nightmare for starting pitchers because they can't make a mistake the first pitch of the game.
And he walks
And
a
I
ton.
think exactly he walks a ton, but at the same time, if like there's been many baseball games where you watch and the first pitch from the pitcher has been a 97-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. You give that
Schwarber.
to Kyle Schwarber, it's going to be in the stands every single time.
Yeah.
So that's really the benefit to having Schwarber there. I think last year, obviously, the home runs sort of took a step back, but He went from a 197 average to a 248 average with an 851 OPS last season. So last season was definitely his best all around season as a Philly. And it really comes down to where everyone feels the most comfortable. If Stott likes to hit later in the lineup and the Phillies like Stott later in the lineup, then leave him later in the lineup. But if there were to be a change, I think the guys that make the most sense are probably Stott and Trea. It's hard for me right now to say because I still think I would probably roll Schwarber out there,
Yeah.
lead off opening day. But if they were to switch it up, I think Stott or Trea would be the guy. And I do want to sort of get into the other guy because there's been some stuff about Bryce,
Right.
and I get it. I get why people are thinking of it.
Let
But
me set you up here.
what?
So
Yeah.
we got a couple quotes that I did want to pull up. So I want to start off with why I think
Okay.
this conversation is relevant. And this coming from Rob Thomson a couple months ago, back in October at this point, that he was asked kind of about the lineup construction, this being after they were eliminated by the postseason. And he said, quote, "The lineup construction, we're going to go through that and try and figure out a better way to score some runs on a consistent basis a little bit more. Is there a different way? Is it better to have Kyle in the leadoff spot? Don't know. We've won a lot of games with him in the leadoff spot, so we got to really think about this. Some people have been trying to change their approach a little bit. Again, I don't know if that's the best thing to do to move Kyle out of the leadoff spot because he's really good at it. But it might help protect other people. And now, when looking at the other options, I did want to pull up this article here that writes Trea Turner, which we spoke about a little bit already, whose sprint speed of 29.6 feet per second trailed only Johan Rojas on the 2024 Phillies, fits the prototype of a leadoff hitter who hits for contact and wreaks havoc on the base path. Turner was briefly the Phillies' leadoff hitter in his first season, but that lasted only 15 games. Moving Turner back to number 2 would likely have some ripple effects back to number 1 would likely have some ripple effects within the lineup, disrupting the lefty-righty-lefty construction in the top third of the order. Turner's usual place between Schwarber and Bryce Harper offers protection for the lefties and helps keep opposing bullpens true. About what's saying, and this leads into the Schwarber conversation and shifts into the Bryce Harper conversation. So that is really what you're teeing up there. Now, Bryce Harper, very much that prototype of the Shohei Ohtani mindset of we're getting our best hitter at the plate as often as possible. Now, to Harper's credit, he is a guy who can hit for power, absolutely, but he also can knock doubles down the line, can hit for base hits. He is the complete package as it pertains to that. So what is your mindset on potentially making Bryce Harper the leadoff hitter and getting him as many at-bats as possible this year?
Yeah. I don't think I'd hate it either way.
Okay.
If it wasn't, I would be completely okay with it. If they tried it, I think I'd be very in for it. I will say this: he hits the worst with nobody on base. He hit 331 last year with runners in scoring position. With nobody on, he hit just over 280. Bryce Harper is a better baseball player when the moment is bigger and there's runners on base. It's been as simple as that since his first game as a Philly. So I am sort of mixed there. I'm all for trying it. I don't think going into a playoff series having Bryce Harper as your leadoff would be the best way to construct your lineup.
Yeah.
Because I think it's pretty similar to the other side of the Schwarber argument. If you don't like Schwarber in the leadoff spot because you want to save home runs and you want to save doubles and you want to save RBIs for when your core guys are on base, I don't think if you don't want Schwarber there, I don't think you should want Harper there. If you don't want Schwarber there, you should probably want a guy like Trea there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an argument I think is worth having. I think the Phillies have options, but I don't think Bryce would be my first choice right now.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I think I sit on the anti-conversation as far as Bryce Harper being the guy. I think if I were to power rank my options right now, I'd probably throw Trea Turner, take another chance at it, that I don't think 15 games was enough to truly see it out. And we've seen him have success at the major league level. And I get probably the biggest argument against it that I think is legitimate is breaking up the left, right, left kind of shakedown that they do have. But I do think that there would be something to Schwarber having some more RBIs next season when he's matching the same level of home runs with just runners in front of it. And for Harper specifically, specifically. I don't see the argument for it, to be perfectly honest, that I think everything that you want as far as Harper in that spot, Schwarber provides. And he is a guy that, like, you're not sacrificing quite as much. I want Harper in there in the biggest moments, and Bryce wants to be in there in the biggest moments. So that's kind of how it should be to me. So if I were to power rank my options right now, I would say Trea Turner number 1, Kyle Schwarber number 2, and I'll go Bryson Stott number 3. That I don't quite see the same vision with Bryson Stott there. But what would your top 3 power rankings be?
So on the Bryson Stott note, real quick, I
Hit me.
think that has to come with a bounce back year. If you have if you have
Better.
last year's Stott, I don't think you can put that player in the leadoff spot. But if you get the 2023, I would say version of Stott, I think that would probably work. Top 3, not including Schwarber or including Schwarber?
Including Schwarber.
Including Schwarber. That's hard. Um, all right.
Stott's your 1 still?
I think Schwarber and Stott are 1A, 1B.
Okay.
I think Trea would be 2. If opening day, the first week or 2 of the season, I think I try Stott there. If it doesn't work, I don't think you go back to it. And that's tough because you're basically giving the guy 2 weeks to prove it. But I think you try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then you try Trea or you go back to Schwarber.
What's your biggest hesitancy on Trea? Is it the left, right, left stuff, or is it anything about him specifically at the plate?
Trea, I think, sets up the lineup a little weird because then I think Harper would have to slide to the 2 unless you wanted to put Schwarber at 2, but I don't think they would do that. If Schwarber doesn't hit first, I think he hits 4th next year.
Yeah, that's where I see it. Yeah.
So that's where I would be a little. That's where things would get weird for me because I don't know how much they would love the left 3-4.
Yeah.
But I would probably, if they're gonna try Stott, see that's where it gets tough though because like that's where I would probably go Stott. Oh man, this is hard. Stott. Stott, Trea, Harper, Schwarber, and I would be fine with the left.
Okay.
But I don't think they would do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they have options. I don't think they're like hell bent on not doing the sort of 3-4 thing. But I don't know. They definitely have options.
They definitely do have options, and I think I've talked myself a little bit further into this Trea Turner leadoff corner throughout this video here. But that is the challenge that we leave each and every one of you guys with, is I want to hear who would you have leading off. Drop it in the comments next year. If you're Rob Thomson on opening day, who are you writing in that lineup card for leading off the first plate appearance there? So drop those in the comments. As always, appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in this video here. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video, and me and Luke will be back talking with you next time. Peace.